Welcome. This is another chapter in art, connecting art to our lives with Humanity 101. As an introduction, art has been described as humankind's most enduring achievement. From the time of early cave dwelling to contemporary society, art has served as a vehicle for translating our insights into understanding ourselves and others. The creation of art may have different aims. For example, to make something beautiful, to be broadly expressive and emotional without connection to beauty, for personal reasons, to illustrate concepts and beliefs of great importance to its creators, to show ways in which a group is unified, or to make a social or political statement. These disparate aims have one thing in common. They each seek in some way to connect art to our lives. Aesthetics. Aesthetics is the study of principles and appreciation of beauty, is linked to our thinking about and connections to art. During the 18th century in Europe, philosophers and other thinkers began to question the interrelationship of art, beauty, and pleasure. One art movement in the 19th century is Romanticism. It celebrated spontaneity, emotion, the individual, and the sublime, intellectual and imaginative sensations that defy measurement or explanation. The Romantic painter Delacroix spent his lifetime seeking to express the extremes of human emotion and experience in his work based on history, literature, current events, and his own travels. With passages of brilliant color applied in thick, vigorous brushstrokes, Delacroix depicted beauty, violence, tragedy, and ecstasy with equal passion, in waves of movement swiftly passing across his canvas. This quality can be seen in The Death of Sardanapalus, where the shadowed figure of the Assyrian king surveys the scene of carnage taking place before him with dispassion. Although historical accounts indicate that Sardanapalus did have all of his possessions destroyed, including his concubines and horses, rather than surrender them to his enemies, Delacroix largely relied on his own imagination for his frenzied interpretation and embellishment of the scene. John Dewey, an American philosopher, psychologist, and educational reformer, in 1934 wrote Art and Experience. He described the aesthetic experience in ways that somewhat reflect the process Delacroix brought to his painting. Dewey stated, however, that although it begins with the art object, the experience of art extends far beyond that one element to produce an ongoing exchange between artist, viewer, and culture at large that culminates in an experience that is a manifestation, a record and celebration of the life of a civilization. For example, walking around and through a grand structure such as Rheims Cathedral in France, with its high Gothic facade, lavish sculptural decoration, extreme verticality, and expansive windows, is breathtakingly impressive because object, building, and experience have coalesced. Miami-based artist Jonah Kierwinski began his career making graffiti art and street murals, and considers any surface a ground for art. In 2007, he covered a Lamborghini car with an intertwined network of organic shapes and geometric lines. This work of art can be described as an example of disinterested contemplation. You look at the Lamborghini and contemplate the beauty and elegance of the car and its design. In this way, the car's aesthetic appeal stems from admiration of the object and the delight it gives. It is a judgment of taste. Conversely, it could be described as an aesthetic experience. Looking at Lamborghini produces a response of pleasure, perhaps at its beauty, its place in history, or fine motor cars, or the thought of owning and driving such a prestigious and fast vehicle. In this case, appreciation of beauty is both a broadly intellectual as well as an individual emotional response. Expression: philosophical, political, religious, and personal. Art has important functions in facilitating various types of human expression. Both creating and viewing art can provide us means of stating or affirming our personal and collective feelings, thoughts, ideas, and attitudes. Often we learn values and philosophical ideas and themes through artistic means. Among the many philosophy-based art movements of the late 19th century was the French group who called themselves La Nabis, or the Prophets. Their task as artists, they believed, was to revive ideals of painting, to prophesy modern modes, and to affirm spiritual goals by envisioning nature's roles in life and creating a new symbolism. Among the movement's leaders was Denis, who often depicted landscape settings imbued with biblical or mythical themes. His paintings are abstracted statements about his philosophies of faith and the need for honesty in art. With willowy figural forms that were lyrically flattened in space, he asserted the two-dimensionality of the picture plane, seeking to avoid the delusions of depth and emphasizing the surface of the work and the beauty of color. Political statements are often wed to philosophical principles in ways that they are given artistic expression. Such was the case with the grand American landscape paintings of the immigrants crossing the plains by Bierstadt. This painting was associated with the 19th century philosophy of manifest destiny, which promoted the idea that the assimilation of land and the use of natural resources of the western parts of the United States were God-given rights and duties for the people who had settled there. Essentially, the settlers, who were mainly of European descent, were destined to occupy and civilize the lands from one coast to the other. This philosophy justified the political actions that took away the Native Americans' rights and also led to the Mexican-American War. The history of art is replete with instances of political statements and political propaganda, as we have seen. In ancient Rome, the Emperor Augustus not only presented himself as a very young and fit in his portrait, but also promoted his political agenda through public monuments such as Arapacis. This altar, dedicated to the goddess of peace, is adorned with messages about the peace and prosperity Augustus was bringing to the citizens through his many virtues and achievements, including his conquest of foreign lands, association with the Roman deities, role of chief priest, promotion of the family as the cornerstone of the empire, wisdom of the imperial senatorial rule, and alleged ancestry leading back to the legendary founding of Rome by Romulus and Remus. John Singleton Copley created a portrait of Mrs. Ezekiel Goldthwaite that conveys her wealth and status through clothing and setting. At the same time, by having her reach for the fruit on the table, he alludes to her other accomplishments, including being the mother of 13 children, a gifted gardener, and a wealthy landowner with orchards in colonial Boston. Unification and exclusion. Art and architecture can be used as means of bringing together a group of people with like beliefs or views and emphasizing what they have in common. In demonstrating how they are alike, such objects and places can also indicate how others are different, which can lead to the exclusion of those who hold different beliefs or views. The events that have been agreed upon as having occurred and their relative importance are key to the understanding of the Dome of the Rock, or Kubat, in Jerusalem. Its site, origins, and various past and present uses are all factors in the shrine's meaning and significance to the people of different backgrounds and faiths for whom it is a holy place. The Dome of the Rock was completed in 691 as a shrine for Muslim pilgrims by the Umayyad Caliph, or political and religious leader, Abd al-Malik. The sacred rock upon which the shrine is built marks the site where Muhammad ascended to heaven on a winged horse. Part of the Temple Mount, or Mount Zion, the rock is said to have a great importance before Muhammad, as well as by those of the Jewish, Roman, and Christian faiths. It is the site where Abraham prepared to sacrifice his son Isaac, according to the Hebrew Bible. Solomon's temple, also known as the First Temple, was later erected there. Herod's temple, completed during the reign of the Persian king Darius I around 516 BC, and next built, and it was destroyed in 70 under the Roman Emperor Titus, who had a temple to the god Jupiter built on the site. And we will stop right here with our first part of the lecture.